hydrology and water quality class. My name is Golmar. I'm a new professor, assistant professor at the research center. And today in this class, we are going to have a very quick presentation about the hydrology and water quality and what we are going to do today. Next, we are going to go to the EnviroScape model. We are going to run the model for you. And then we are going to step out looking at some stormwater management facilities together. So in this presentation, there are a few things that I want to mention here, and we are going to use it for our class. What is the coastal zones and why the coastal zones are important? When we talk about the oceans, gulfs, seas, or any water body, we have two types of the life zones, the coastal zone and the open sea. The open sea is like when we have a depth of water, and the coastal zones are the places like Florida. If you look at the Florida, all the Florida land is considered as coastal zones. So it's super important, the coastal zones, because it has the highly productive lands and ecosystems in it. The ecosystems that we are all familiar with, such as wetlands, which is important for different habitats. The Keys, the Florida Keys are, their name is the barrier islands, which are important to protect the land, and also they are the place for endangered species such as turtles or the shorebirds, and many other ecosystems in this in the coastal zones, which make them super important. So in order to, but the question is how the coastal zones can be protected from the pollution, and what the impact of human life in this area on the water bodies. So, and what we can do to protect it. So today in this class, using this model, which is called EnviroScape model, we are going to show you how the pollutions, they move on the land, on the coastal area, and goes to the water bodies. So, and then using another activity on the model, we show you how we can protect it and what are the mitigation strategies to reduce the pollution. So in order to do this, we need to know some terms, such as watershed is the land that the water, when rain comes on the land, then it drains to a particular water course or a specific water body. If you look at Florida, our outlet, for example, is going to be the ocean. So again, looking at Florida, we have 29 major watersheds, and it's important to protect the watershed that we live in. It doesn't matter which area, what place on the earth we live, we always live in a watershed. So the non-point source pollution is another term that like we are gonna talk about today. It's like depends on the human activities on the land, we are gonna have non-point source pollutions. Some examples are the fertilizers, pesticides, oil, grease, and those are the different types of the non-point source pollution. And the point source pollution, when we know a specific location that the pollution is being produced, we call it point source pollution, such as the factories or like industrial plants. So by knowing this, let's move to the model. This is the model we are gonna work on it today. I need some volunteers. Who's gonna, yes, we have 4 already. 5, yeah, volunteer, come please. 1, 2, yeah, more? Any more, yes, please come. Yes, come on in. Yeah, come here. I think we have 6 volunteers. You're a volunteer here? 1, 6, yes. And yeah, you can move.
Yeah, everyone
and,
come up and stand. We're going to do some
we are going to show
interactions
you
here.
the model.
My name is Rainey. I'm a water resource specialized agent for the Southwest District, and I spend a lot of my time in the urban areas trying to educate homeowners, golf courses, athletic field managers, how to limit influences of nutrients and pesticides and other practices they may be doing to limit the impacts on their water quality near them. So we're going to use this to demonstrate that, and I'm going to identify a couple of things to begin with. One, what to fill? Do you want to fill?
Yes.
We're going to fill this reservoir up front. Now, what would this represent here?
Who's gonna do that for me?
Like a holding pond?
This
Yeah.
could be a
You
holding
have to
pond.
fill the water
In
here.
our coastal situation, what's the big holding pond that we have?
Ocean.
Do you
Ocean, the
wanna do
Gulf of
some it,
Mexico.
or- Yeah?
All right, so we're filling our large water body, which is at the end of our watershed. So let me explain a couple of things that are going on at the top end of the watershed. Over here, we have, this is apartments, condominiums. Here we have a residential neighborhood. And with residential, sometimes we have sewage treatment. So this is a sewage treatment plant.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since we're in a coastal situation, we have coastal port storage areas for a lot of
That's
commerce to come in and out of the
Yeah.
area, like on a bay area. We have marina, we have gas and other practices going on, keeping those boats going, keeping recreation going. This is a golf course resort area that's always located sometimes near the beach, near areas of large water bodies. We also have, what's going on up here? Farming. We have ag, so we have ag in an area. This is a gas station. What do we need to be mindful of as far as gas stations?
How much money was spent?
That's true. But what about the product itself? It's generally held in a tank, right? So we need to make sure those tanks are inspected routinely. We don't want petroleum products getting out into our aquifer. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the lay of the land, so to speak here. Oh, here we have a factory. And as it was just pointed out with point source, we'll demonstrate that. If the factory is not following the rules, they're not manufactured, or they have a spill, we can have a direct contact with the water body, and usually, if that happens or occurs, that we can call it a point source. But otherwise, we have a lot of all these other practices going on in this neighborhood, or actually it's development of this watershed. Oh, over here is a new development going in, so the browns represent tilled or disturbed soil. The green is what? Grass, and the gray? Roads. Those are impervious surfaces. Does water go above it or below it? When it hits the surface, where's it going to go? It's going to run off, right? So we have to be mindful of these gray areas. They're going to be slick, so to speak. They're going to move water. Okay, so some indicators. First thing we want to look at is oil and grease.
Okay, the first volunteer.
Where would you
here.
find oil and grease in
Go
this
ahead.
in the model?
Come here.
The factory? Okay,
Yeah.
put a couple of drops right there. Yes. Okay, if the factory's not doing their practices correctly, cleaning up, there could be some leaky gas or oil or grease. Where else? Gas stations. So we can put some there. A lot of times cars will pull up, park, they got a leaky oil case or other transmission maybe. Is there another place? We'll get one more place in. That's an affluent part, but for oil and grease, think about petroleum products too as well. What do you think? Okay, marina? Yeah, we can put some right here. Okay, all right, so over time, a lot of these oil and grease spots will build up. All right, thank you. Our next indicator.
Yes.
Our next 9-point source product,
Sorry.
soil. Okay, remember what I said about the brown areas?
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of the practices, especially in ag, we teach to build riparian buffers where they may, prevent nutrients and water from, large flows of volume of water moving off into our water bodies. So we're going to put some indicator here on the ag side near the water body, just to demonstrate what if the practices were not being applied in that area, what's going to happen to it. And also for these construction, for the developers, if they're not applying their stormwater rules and practices, we're going to sprinkle some there. We're going to watch what happens there too. Then we'll talk about what they should do in a minute. Okay, and next indicator, thank you.
Next one is manure.
Manure and
Next person.
pet waste.
Yeah.
How many of you walk your dog? No? No? Okay. Within residential areas, this definitely have to be mindful of what we call scoop to poop. It not only contains bacteria, which will make you sick, it contains nutrients, which once they dissolve, they're gonna find their way into a water body, and that's gonna cause harm as well. So where will we find areas of manure and pet waste within this model?
Farms and their houses.
Okay, in front of, okay, definitely, yeah, I can see, apartments where there may be a lot, so you sprinkle that on the green spot there, where they've gone out and they didn't bag it, didn't throw it away properly. Where else? Oh, in here?
Maybe.
Okay, we can put a couple of sprinkles in there. Okay, if that's not contained properly, definitely. All right, one more spot.
The farms.
The farms, okay,
Yes.
manure, okay. So maybe this would be the pasture situation near water bodies? Or maybe where the store of manure is too close to a water body? Okay, our next
Yeah.
indicator.
The
Thank
next
you.
one is fertilizer.
So with fertilizers and
Next
pesticides,
person.
this is the assumption that they're not applying it correctly. You know, they're over applying, they're not applying on the right site, or per label. So if that were to occur, where would it occur?
It could occur at the golf.
Could it occur at the golf course? If that superintendent's not following the BMPs, he could be impacting water quality. Very good. Where's another place for herbicides and pesticides?
Farms.
Pesticides and fertilizers.
Farms.
Pastures, farms, if not properly applied, could potentially on the green too.
Yep.
There you go. Both. Yep. Very well. And one more place.
The apartments.
Apartments, we got those. What about residential home or homes?
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll put a couple of green spots out here. A lot of times around homes and, you know, when fertilizers are being applied in an urban situation, it's just simply they didn't come back and clean up. It's hit the impervious surface and there it's available to move. So just cleaning up is an important aspect of that. What else we got? And trash. Where do we find litter?
Parks.
Parks?
Next person.
Who said everywhere? Everywhere?
Everywhere.
So we can find it on our green spaces, we can find it on our gray spaces, we can even find it on our undeveloped spaces, so, we have to be mindful of it, yes. Just,
Everywhere.
you can like go down a couple of places here, a couple of, maybe around the gas station, you seem like there's always something floating by, so maybe some trash up there. There you go, and let's get in the residential neighborhoods up here. There's always something in the road. Okay, all right.
Thank you. And, yeah, that's it about the indicators.
Okay, so
Now,
this is some of the examples that we're gonna show you. What needs to happen next for these non-point source pollution products to move? What has to happen?
Rain.
Rain. So we need someone to make it rain.
who's gonna be the rain? Who hasn't done anything yet? You want to do it, yeah.
All right, so just view and start looking at what happens. Start, let me know, yeah, just start. Yeah, there you go. Just give it a real good soaking. Get these things wet, get them moving.
You need to make runoff.
Okay, so we've got a thunderstorm that's come by. And if the practices, you know, cleaning up and all the practices we need to prevent this, what's gonna happen? What do you see, what's going on? Getting runoff, definitely stormwater runoff. Where's it coming from?
All that trash.
The trash, all the products that have been applied on landscapes, farms maybe, if not appropriately applied. What color are you seeing? Is it all one color or all separate colors now?
Separate.
They're still separate?
Usually red and
Are they mixing any? Not yet. We need more water. There's some clean up there.
started mixing.
So, are we getting mixing now? So at that point, when it starts to mix, it becomes diffused, and we really can't go back and track where it came from. We just know it hit somewhere in this watershed, and it's ending up down there. And that's one strategy that we'll talk about in a minute, is how do we prevent that or limit that from happening. One of the things I didn't show you was the point source, and the blue bottle, squirt one right there. Thank you.
Okay, next person.
So, Ella, okay. Just pour it on top of the roof right there, Ella. Now this could occur here. That's good. Thank you. Oh, and here too. So if we have an accident at the factory, or they're not following the rules as far as control of the products they're using, and it leaks out this out pipe here, that's definitely a point source. We can definitely tell where that comes from. But otherwise, the diffuse sources that's coming off our watershed here are mixing. And so we're going to have to talk about now, what do we do as far as slowing this down, or at least mitigating?
Yeah, so next thing is we want to mitigate the pollution movement and somehow protect our water body and environment.
So does everybody
So-
understand what mitigate means?
Yeah,
Yeah? Somebody give me a definition.
go ahead.
Mitigate.
Where does that
No, she just
pole
asked a
come
question.
from?
Which
Those
one?
two poles.
Oh, this here? Oh, this is for another project that it
This-
talks about underground water systems. We're just looking at above ground water systems today.
So we want to do something to help to reduce the pollution, which is the mitigation. So what we can do for, like, there are many ways to do that mitigation. What are, like, can you name some of them?
Put more like grass and soil so it can absorb it.
Of course,
Good.
exactly. Thank you very much. That was a very good answer. And also having trees and plants, having grasses that help to reduce the movement of the pollution and absorb it somewhere. And another thing is wetlands. So let's do the trees. So we want to plant the trees here, like in some areas, to protect our watershed. Another thing is a berm. Berm is somehow, we put it on, whenever we have the soil or farms like this, we can put the berm, build the berm there to actually to block the sedimentation movement and less erosion happen. Another thing is the grass, which we have some grass strips here, and I want some volunteers here help me with putting in them. Are you a volunteer? No, you? You want to do that? No one? Okay. I do. Okay. Yeah. You go ahead. You can take one from here. Yes. Yes. And you take it. All right. Good. And yes, put them in some green areas here. Like, for example, here, you can put it here. This area. Yeah, here. Yeah, you pick the area here. Okay, great. Yes. And I'm gonna place some wetlands here. Look what wetlands happen, what happened when we put the wetland here. Yes, yes. And I'm gonna put another one here. These are gonna help us to reduce the movement of the pollution. I'm gonna do very quick example here when I have the wetland. So somewhere like here I have a wetland and grassland, grass strip. So gonna add more. And then I spray the water. And now you see the pollution stay here, and whatever moves going to wetland, but it's not going out of it. So this way we can protect our watershed and our water body, We have few slides regarding the protection and best management practices or stormwater management, which we are gonna ask you to listen to it. If you please have a seat.
Yeah, just a quick seat. So we'll just review, good Did it? That was a strong start. So yeah, let me just kind of review what we learned a little bit. So with small ranchettes, those of you who have livestock, in small areas that or containment, a couple of things that, as far as mitigation, preventing movement of nutrients into our waterways is one, our location of our drain fields or wash racks. We definitely want to be mindful of that. Vegetation below that slope, if it's sloping off, catching that water, holding it, using it, letting the plants absorb it is a good BMP. Covering your manure piles, we want these to stay dry until they need to be used. If not, they're going to soak. They could move downward. The nutrients could move downward in sandy soils, or it could run off in heavy storms. Again, gutters, we want those gutters slowing down the movement of water, not increasing. Bare spots is not a good thing. We need to either remove animals from that area, let it grow back in, and then you can introduce animals back in there. Definitely make sure that we cover our ground bare spots. So that's a couple things there. In the residential areas, definitely keeping our driveways, sidewalks, and also there's a street right here clean. We don't want our fertilizer trails or our grass clippings, which contain nutrients as well, going into that runoff. If the covenants allow, wash your vehicle on top of your lawn. It can utilize both the water, and the lawn can also, the fibrous the turf grass roots can absorb the nutrients from the soaps. Remember, scoop your poop, pets poop, flying gutters. If you can, get rain barriers or cisterns to control stormwater runoff. If not, do not direct them toward your driveway. Keep those minimized as possible. So with that ends the demonstration here, but we'll take you outside and apply what you've learned, because there's a real life scenario going on outside related to this. And Martha and Kevin is going to escort you out for the quick little exercise. So take your stuff with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, volunteers.
Now that you've already had the class on hydrology, is help me find where the water is going to go when it rains. So we're trying to look at this landscape and try to think about where the runoff is going to go if it rains. So has it rained in the last couple of days? Has everyone seen some rain events lately? All right, so let's imagine just for a second that it was raining now. So looking at the building, where would be the first place the rain would hit? On top of the building, so coming from the sky down, where's the first place? The roof, yes. So the first place the water is going to hit is the roof. So as the water is flowing down the roof, what is positioned around the roof? The gutters, yes. So the gutters are all around the roof. They're collecting that water. Now, from the gutters, now down to the ground, where is the water going to? It's going to the plants. Now, is there anything that is directing, that's helping the water from the gutter to the ground? Yeah, there are a couple of pipes there. 1, 2, 3. There are a lot of pipes around. So if the pipe was not there, let's just imagine that instead of having a pipe, you just had an opening right there and the water was falling. What would happen right under?
It would move stuff underneath it.
It will move stuff underneath it. That's right. So the reason why it's important to kind of help direct that water a little bit is that the water would hit down on the ground, and that would cause erosion. It would remove the plants, and then that would leave the soil just exposed. So if there was no plants in here and it was raining a very intense summer rain, what would happen to the soil?
It would get moist.
It would get very moist. And would that be any runoff on the soil surface? Okay. So when the rain is falling down, if there are no plants to protect it, those raindrops would kind of hit the soil real hard and will make the sediment, the stem kind of get a little bit loose. And then if the rain is very strong, the water that is running on the soil surface will just carry a lot of that soil down. And that soil has nutrients associated with it. We're trying to avoid to have that soil go to the water table. So now thinking about the rainfall again, let's say that we're looking at the ground now. If the rain was falling, where would it fall around here? Sidewalk, rocks, where else? Where am I standing? Vegetation, grass, right. So when the rain falls on the sidewalk, where does it go? Does it infiltrate on the sidewalk? No. Where does it go?
It runs down.
It runs down, exactly. That's the same thing with pavement, right? When we are driving on the roads, the rain flows on top of the pavimentation. And what happens with the rain when it falls on the grass?
It goes to low spot.
Yes, it goes to the lowest spot. Does all of the rain that falls on grass just flows on top of it?
Some of it gets
So gets what? Absorbed, yeah. So there's some infiltration. So the soil has a certain amount of water that it can absorb. If the rain is stronger than that, then we're gonna get some runoff on top of the grass. So after the water has come through on the roof, the gutters, on the sidewalk, on the grass, it's gonna go to the lowest point. So what did you guys see when you were driving in on the right-hand side of the road? Did you guys see anything on the right-hand side, maybe? Yeah, there's a ditch, exactly. So this water, there's a pipe right there that I don't know if you guys can see, but all this water is going to be directed to that ditch. And there's some vegetation around that helps keep the sediments in place, and that's the story of the runoff. So if it rains in the next couple of days, maybe next time you can kind of like look outside and try to figure out in your own home where you are, where you work, where the rain is going to.